Okay, I thought this could be a fun idea for a video. This is the top 32 players that I would start a franchise with if, let's just say, for example, you're getting to start a franchise from scratch, but they say you can take, a player that is already in the NFL and get that player to start your franchise with. Whatever contract track they have, you now take on that contract. So rookie deals are going to come into play in this discussion. Which players would you want to have? So obviously age is going to be a factor. These are the 32 that I think I would, this is how I would rank the top 32 players. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the list. We're going to go 8 at a time, starting off with, so you see Kobe Turner, the interior defensive lineman for the Rams, just does make the list at 32. Really good player there. Bo Nix at 31, the obviously quarterback for the Broncos. I decided to put him on the list. I wasn't sure if I was going to have him make it, but ultimately he does just get drafted here. This was the NFL draft. It would be the second to last pick. But I just feel like with the rookie deal, and potentially has room to grow. I think there are better quarterbacks currently in the league than him. But again, when you're factoring in the fact that he has 3 years left of a rookie deal on top of still playing pretty well last year, that's kind of the math equation I'm going with here is it's Bo Nix plus you're essentially saving $50 million, not having to pay that for a different quarterback. Dexter Lawrence, a little bit older and coming off of an injury, but a little bit older. He's 27, but in this list, that's going to be a little bit older. But he's just so good when healthy that I feel like I kind of have to put him on the list. Sauce Gardner, who is not coming off of a great season, but he's had 2 out of 3 seasons. He's been fantastic. Last year, kind of everyone was bad for the Jets. I'm willing to still bank on the potential there. And Jared Verse only played 1 year, but was defensive rookie of the year in kind of a landslide. It was kind of obvious it should have been him. He was fantastic. And again, has room to grow and get better. You get 3 more years of a rookie deal, which isn't as valuable for a non-quarterback, but still does help. So I figured I would put him on the list at 28. 27, Creed Humphrey, just been maybe the best center in football since he's entered the league, so you're getting that. How valuable is an interior offensive lineman? I'll let you be the judge, but he's the only one on this list, but there is at least one on this list. Couple other offensive linemen, some tackles. Jordan Mailata, who is 28, one of the older players you'll see on this list, but again, he's the best tackle in football, in my opinion. I put him there. And Tristan Wirfs, who's not too far behind Mailata and is a little bit younger. I think he's a year younger. So that was kind of I put Wirfs ahead of Mailata just due to the age thing. But those are 2 elite level tackles. Next 8 on the list. So you have Jalen Johnson, the cornerback from the Chicago Bears, someone who I think 2 years ago was maybe the best corner in football. Last year, I thought he took a small step back, but it's still a really good corner and still very young, so wanted to keep him on the list. Then you have a couple of young wide receivers, young-ish wide receivers, kind of mid-20s, maybe even starting to get through the late 20s with CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown, but you should still get at least 6 years out of both of these guys at elite-level play, and I think the wide receiver position is so valuable that I would definitely love to have one of those guys if I'm starting a franchise from scratch. So, although would AJ, if we're starting from scratch, will we be a rebuilding team? Will AJ Brown want to play with us? I don't know, but I'm not factoring all that stuff in. Just the play there. Micah Parsons at 21, who is 26 years old. Someone who, again, I have critiqued sometimes the run defense aspect of his game, but he's still maybe the best pure pass rusher in football right now. You kind of have to put him at least on this list, I think. Then some defensive backs, Kyle Hamilton, Trent McDuffie, and Kirby Joseph. All players who you could argue don't play the most important positions with 2 safeties, and then Trent McDuffie, who was a nickel corner, although he played a lot outside last year and was even primarily an outside corner last year and did well at it, so I don't think that would be fully fair. But either way, they're all 3 incredibly valuable to their team. They're all 3 very young players as well, all under 25 years old. So being able to play at the caliber that they can play for probably the next 10 years, there's just a ton of value there. And then Christian Darrisaw, kind of similar to Mailata and Wirfs. He's just another year younger. So again, elite pass protecting offensive lineman who is still very young. That puts him at 17. Next 8, we're really getting into the most valuable here, the really interesting type of players. Still a couple quarterbacks on this list, starting off with Justin Herbert at 16, who it was debatable what quarterbacks do I put on the list, right? I didn't know exactly who I should or shouldn't put on the list, but I decided to go with Herbert. I still think Herbert's really good. I know a lot of people don't like him, and a lot of people have said, well, the playoff failures. Again, I am of the belief that he has had one bad playoff game, not two. I get it. You blow a big lead, whatever. I thought he played well in that game against Jacksonville. I don't think that was really on him. Although, again, maybe not perfect, but I wouldn't say it was on him. Was horrible the last playoff game. There's no getting around it. But he was also really good last year. Like, you can't let one bad game completely negate what was a season that got him MVP votes last year. So, like, I think that's worth noting. But so ultimately, I decided to put him on the list. Can't put him too high, though, because he is getting paid and just hasn't reached the levels that some of those other guys have. Nick Bosa at 15 is someone who I was kind of surprised is only 27 years old. I would have thought he was a bit older than that. But guys won a Defensive Player of the Year. He's consistently a top 5 edge rusher. The injuries is part of what hurts him as well. But I still think he's good enough to put as a top 15 pick here. CJ Stroud, another guy similar to Bo Nix in that there maybe are better players than CJ Stroud that don't make this list altogether, but ultimately you still have 2 years left of a rookie deal and a 5th-year option, and he was so good as a rookie. I know you were expecting him to be a little better this year than he was, but I still think with the potential, he's someone I'd want. I didn't realize, but I have his teammate one spot ahead, Derek Stingley Jr., who is just an elite-level outside corner. Like, yeah, at his age, that's very valuable. You then have a couple tight ends, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. I kind of like that McBride's more of a complete tight end. He can block as well. Trey McBride might be the most underrated player in football, but two very good elite level young tight ends. You could put Bowers over McBride due to the age thing. I think, you could talk me into that, but to me, they're kind of right next to each other. It's dealer's choice as to who you would rather have. They're both fantastic. Pat Surtain, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. It was a bit of a weird Defensive Player of the Year season where, like TJ Watt didn't quite have the year he usually does. Myles Garrett didn't have the year he usually does. Nick Bosa had some injuries, all that stuff. But, he was still really good, and he was still Defensive Player of the Year worthy. So, yeah, Surtain, definitely a fantastic outside corner. Then Jamar Chase, who I feel like I actually have to talk about him with number 8. I'll just tell you number 8 before we get into it. Number 8 is Justin Jefferson, who those two, again, similar to McBride and Bowers. You could kind of put 1A or 1B type of thing, whatever one you want to put. It's hard to argue with it. But they're two elite-level outside threats that can completely take over a game. So they're definitely someone that you'd love to start a franchise with if you could. But now top 8, and we've already talked about number 8. So let's get into a lot of quarterbacks except for 2 Detroit Lions, interestingly enough. It's Jefferson, 2 Lions, and then 5 quarterbacks. Aiden Hutchinson, who's coming off the injury, but still was on his way to a Defensive Player of the Year season, and he's still so young. You probably have 10 years left of this caliber of play for the Detroit Lions. And to make things better, there's another guy, trench player, Penei Sewell, who is still just 24 years old. He entered the league so young that another guy, you're going to get probably 10 years of this level of production. So while him and Mailata and Wirfs and Darrisaw are all kind of, in my opinion, similar levels, Sewell being that much younger as well, that makes him so valuable that I would definitely think that, in my opinion, he would be the number 1 non-quarterback that I would take just because of that. You're going to get a lot of great production for a long time. But again, in the NFL, conversation starts and ends with the quarterback position, right? So if you can get an elite level quarterback, those are always going to be the top players. Jaden Daniels, I decided to go with at 5. You could argue 1, right? Because you have the 3 years of the rookie deal. But ultimately, for quarterbacks, I'm going to play the long game here. And I'm going to say with the top 4 guys, I know, in my opinion, I'm getting an elite level quarterback for the next, 10 years or so. Daniels has had 1 great season. I think you're going to get an elite level quarterback for longer than those guys because he's younger as well. But I can't say that for certain. And because of that, I just feel like I'd rather have the guaranteed pick with the other top 4 guys. You could argue Daniel's 1, though. I feel like he's either 1 or 5, in my opinion. They don't, nothing in between. Maybe 2 or 5, I suppose. But Lamar, Burrow, and Allen, that's my rankings. None of you are going to, you ask 100 people who's the second best quarterback in football, you're going to get 3 different answers, right? A lot of people are going to answer differently with Lamar, Burrow, or Allen. That's how I decided to rank it. I have a quarterback rankings video on this channel that you can check out if you want to hear more exactly of why I did that. But to me, number 1 is still Mahomes. He's the guy who's winning Super Bowls left and right. I know it's a team sport. I know Andy Reid. I know the defense. I still think he's the most important piece of that championship team year after year, and he's the person that if I could start a franchise with today, I would. But yeah, that is my list. It's a fun exercise. Let me know in the comments below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.